In this video, I'm going to talk about India in the modern era, and I'm going to talk about the rise of Indian nationalism. We first see Indian resistance to British rule in widespread form with the Sepoy Rebellion in 1858. This rebellion was allegedly caused by British troops forcing Indian soldiers, both Hindus and Muslims, to use cartridges in their military training that had been soaked in pig grease. This was offensive to Muslims and Hindus and led to a rebellion against the British Empire. And the British end up putting down this rebellion, but they make some concessions to the Indians as a result. For example, they allow Indians to now play a role in the government of their country. Towards the end of the 19th century, however, around 1885, we see a new Indian nationalist movement gaining steam called the Indian National Congress. And its most charismatic leader was a man named Mahatma Gandhi, who joined this movement around 1915. With World War I, we see that there's a lot of considerable loss of credibility for European countries in the countries they had previously ruled. Whereas in the past, the British could say that they were bringing peace and stability and education to India, after World War I, it becomes increasingly difficult to make that argument. Indians look at World War I and they say there's nothing in this culture to admire or to emulate, and these people shouldn't be ruling over us. And at the same time, Europeans look at what's happened in World War I, look at the disasters and the horrors of World War I, and they don't feel that they have anything in their culture particularly to be proud of that should give them this privileged position. And so after World War I, you start to see movements towards Indian independence gathering steam. You have Gandhi, who's promoting more religious reasons for Indian independence, for Hindus to fully practice their religion. But then you also have leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru, who will become the first prime minister of an independent India, who's promoting Indian independence from more secular and nationalist motives. Independence comes to India in 1947, so right after World War II, and this was presented as the reward that India received from Britain for remaining loyal to Britain against the Japanese. And so India is granted its independence, but by this point, divisions between Muslims and Hindus in the country have become so violent that they can only be restrained through a British colonial government from the outside. And so it's decided that the best approach is going to be to have separate Muslim and Hindu nations. So a new Muslim nation, the nation of Pakistan, emerges. And basically, the Indians voted which nation they were going to join, the Muslim nation or the Hindu nation. And so the Muslim nation of Pakistan emerges in the east. Initially, that also included Bangladesh. Bangladesh eventually becomes independent, partly because it's so far away from Pakistan, it's on the other side of India, partly because Bangladeshis speak a different language to Pakistanis. There is a lot of violence surrounding the partition of India, with people trying to leave. You know, if you're a minority religious group in one region, you try to leave, or maybe the other religious groups even trying to drive you out. So a lot of religious violence surrounding the division of India. But then a Hindu majority India emerges, although with a significant Muslim minority. They face a large number of challenges. They don't have a single unified language. They don't have the infrastructure that a modern nation would have. They're very poor. But in a lot of ways, the second half of the 20th century is a story of success for Indians. While many of the population do remain poor, we see the success of the government in forging an Indian nation, in accommodating these different language groups and these different peoples. And we see significant achievements in industry and technology. India increasingly begins to become a leader throughout the world. And so this is the position of India. This is the position where we'll leave India at the end of this course. Independent, with many challenges, especially religious challenges, the challenges faced by religious minorities in India, but an emerging force in terms of industry and technology on the world stage.